Okay, let's unpack this. What happens when a key federal agency, I mean, one really central to national security, sparks just intense debate?
Right.
You've got some calling for a complete overhaul, while others are saying, no, it's absolutely
A
vital.
real split.
Today, we're diving deep into the world of U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, better known as ICE.
Hmm.
Our mission here is to explore what exactly IC does, look at the powerful arguments both for and, against its current operations,
Sure.
and see how public opinion is just deeply, maybe even fundamentally divided on its future. We're pulling from official reports, expert analysis, and some pretty compelling personal stories, too.
It's really important to understand, first off, that ICE isn't just one thing. It operates through two main branches, each with pretty distinct roles.
Okay.
So first, there's Homeland Security Investigations, HSI. This part tackled serious transnational crimes, big drug trafficking, child exploitation, human smuggling, really going after the criminal organizations.
Right, the big networks.
Exactly. Then you have Enforcement and Removal Operations, or ERO.
Yeah.
That's the arm more focused on, well, immigration enforcement and actually removing
That's why
non-citizens.
they've been busy.
Very.
Mhm.
If you look at fiscal year 2024, ERO removed over 271,000 non-citizens from the U.S.
Wow, that's a lot.
It is. And here's a key point often missed. More than 88,000 of those individuals had prior criminal convictions or pending charges. We're talking serious offenses in some cases.
Okay.
And HSI, meanwhile, they also had a big year. Over 32,000 criminal arrests, seizing huge amounts of drugs, helping thousands of crime victims, which really underlines their public safety role.
That distinction between HSI and ERO, that feels really important, especially when we think about just the scope of what ICE is doing today.
Definitely.
And it's not just removals, right? They're adapting, too.
Yeah, they have to. They're using new technology, like a public portal, and even a check-in app
An app.
to manage the growing non-detained population. That number is massive now, over 7.6 million people.
7.6 million. So they're using tech to try and keep track.
Exactly. It's a big shift, trying to streamline what used to be a very, paper-heavy manual process.
Okay, but let's get into the core debate here, because despite all this activity, ICE faces, well, significant criticism.
Oh, absolutely.
A lot of people argue that the ERO arm, even though it says its mission is targeting serious criminals, doesn't always focus on the most violent offenders.
Right. That's a major critique.
And critics suggest that its broad enforcement can sometimes actually get in the way of other police work. Like reports from within HSI apparently suggest their link to ERO can sour relationships with local police.
That's a documented concern.
Yeah, which makes it harder for locals to investigate things like trafficking or drug rings if communities are afraid to cooperate, right? Because they fear deportation.
Precisely. And this brings up the whole question of, operational methods and the ripple effects.
Like what kind of methods?
Well, concerns have been raised about tactics like roadside checkpoints during hurricane evacuations, for instance, or reports of agents maybe misrepresenting themselves as local police to make arrests.
Oh, wow.
Critics argue that stuff really erodes public trust. It makes communities, especially immigrant communities, way less likely to cooperate with any law enforcement.
Yeah, I can see how that would happen. It impacts everything.
It does. The long-term damage to community relations is a big part of the argument against some of these tactics.
But then you flip the coin. Proponents argue ICE is absolutely crucial, indispensable even for national security and keeping the public safe.
That's the other side, yes.
They point to ICE's unique role in removing, thousands of known gang members, people suspected of terrorism, human rights violators.
If other agencies might not have the authority or focus to remove.
Exactly. So from that perspective, ICE's work is essential. It's a critical barrier against threats, protecting communities. They'd say no other agency can really do that specific job.
And if you look at the public, recent surveys just show these deep partisan divides on immigration policy generally.
Not surprising, maybe?
No, but it's stark. While, okay, a majority of Americans say controlling illegal immigration is important. Right. Republicans and Democrats fundamentally disagree on how to do it. There's really no single approach that gets broad bipartisan support. Republicans often favor more deportations, more border infrastructure.
Build the wall, that kind of thing? Yeah.
While Democrats tend to look more towards pathways for legal entry and status, it's just fundamentally different views of the system.
And these debates, they aren't just abstract political points or numbers on a page. They hit people really hard, personally.
Immensely so.
You take someone like U.S. Congresswoman Delia Ramirez. Her husband was formerly undocumented.
Right. She speaks from direct experience.
And she talks really powerfully about the huge personal and economic costs that mass deportation plans would have on millions of mixed status families.
Families where maybe the kids are U.S. citizens, but the parents aren't.
Exactly. And she shares how painful it is hearing her own family described, in her words, as if they're less than human.
Mm.
It just shows how these policies translate into, real human pain and fear.
Mm-hmm. A very real emotional toll.
So, where does this leave us? What does it all mean for you, listening? This deep dive really shines a light on that core tension in U.S. immigration enforcement.
Yeah, that balancing act.
Right, balancing critical national security needs with these deeply personal human consequences. It's a system meant to protect, but one that, undeniably creates huge impacts and sharp divides in our society.
And that really brings up a fundamental question. How can a nation square those things? How do you reconcile security goals with the human impact of enforcement and this desire most people seem to share for a fair, effective immigration system?
Yeah, it's tough. So, thinking about all the different priorities and experiences we've touched on, maybe the question for you to consider is this. What could common ground actually look like in the future for U.S. immigration policy? Something beyond the partisan gridlock we see now. What would it really take to build a system that honors both security and human dignity?